Welcome to No Man's Sky Construction 102. So I assume that you have already played around with the construction in No Man's Sky and you understand how to use basic structure rooms. Um, Over here is a good example of my base. This is pretty much all built using just the simple sort of structure components under these. Okay. They'll just kind of fit together nicely, and you can look up other videos to find out how to actually use those. It's pretty quick to learn. Really quick ramp up time. They interact perfectly with these cuboid rooms, as you can see here. And the cuboid rooms have these really cool things called struts on them in the bottom. All of this stuff you probably already know. One little thing I'll mention about this before I get into the little bit more complicated things is that you can produce these struts that actually end on the top of these structure rooms, as long as you keep a unit in between your space. So what I mean by a unit, just really quick, a unit is one of these. It's one of these. It's one of these. Cuboid room. They're all the same width, height, and length, even though they don't look like they are, but they actually take up the same amount of space, and they're sort of produced on a grid. So wherever your starter thing is, or if you put a new one down, if I put a new one down over here, that begins a new grid that I can then start off of. And I've reached my limit because I have a bunch of things that I want to show you here that I already built. Anyway, you get the idea. Those are pretty simple concepts. So, but anyway, the point is that these struts can interact with these cuboid strut rooms can kind of interact with these structure rooms in a proper way if you build the structure room first. So, if I were to take this away and then rebuild this, so I'm going to do that. So see how it's kind of aired out now, it doesn't really look right. So if I were to take that away, put it back in, right, I've got the strut, and then put in the structured room that I want to put under it. Let's say I wanted to put this structured room in. You see it doesn't work really because the post actually goes through it, which kind of is not awesome, right? So the fix for that is to create the structure room first and then create a hole, and it will work perfectly. Believe me, it will work immensely wonderfully, as you can see here. We can use, it'll work with the 4 for the, the 4 of the 1, same thing. And it will work very nicely, as you can see. It does not go through. I mean, it does kind of look weird with this glass one, but anyway, on to the next subject. Okay, so the more difficult things that I wanted to show you, and some of the things that you might not have found yet, or maybe you have, I hope it does help somebody, are the infrastructure components and how they really work and how they latch into each other. Also, how to make an outside ladder. It's not connected to anything that works. And last but not least, actually the second to last but not least, how to make a freestanding ramp, which you might have already found already. And that goes right into how to make rooms not on the actual vertical grid. As you can see here, I've got a half down room. These are on grid. That one is not on a grid. It is on a grid, but it's just not on the same grid. But anyway, okay. So these infrastructure components, which are here, sphere, cube, and cylinder, do not interact. They only lock in with each other. Don't interact with any other infrastructure components or any other components that I can find. They don't lock to anything. In fact, you can't even put them on pavement or anything like that. It's just a really big mess. So anyway, if you're going to use those, just keep in mind that these are their own thing. They're just kind of alone. This, on the other hand, is the locking in infrastructure components. So that's the roof, the pylon or the strut, and the I-beam. Those you can make some extraordinarily awesome things, and you can actually plan out some really cool things with as well. And using these, you can actually make your rooms on any height that you want on a quarter unit. So when I say unit, again, I'm talking about this block as a unit. So one cube room is a unit, one structured room is a unit. These are all units. So these have a height. Every unit has a height of 4 of these. Right? Every unit has a height of 4 of those. So you can actually see it here if I could place here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if you go to build these structures like this, and you build them not 4 tall like I haven't with this one, you can actually kind of stick cuboid rooms on them, and you can see that would be a basement if it wasn't connecting with the ground, but you can see that would be a half position on the vertical grid. So you can create things that are kind of interesting, I guess. I guess my point is that you don't have to be restricted to this position and then the next one on top of it and then the next one on top. You can actually do half positions, and you can do quarter positions like over here. I think I did a quarter position. Actually, I think this is a quarter position. Sorry. Let's see here. Yes, that's a quarter position down or 3/4 up. So as you can see, this is 1 unit tall. This is the 2nd story. This is just normal building here, right? This is down by 1 notch, right? Okay, so that's what you can basically do with the structure components, is you can actually just create something. In fact, I will show you how to do it right now, so you can see. I have to delete these because I have so many pieces in this thing right now that it's insane. And it will cause me to reach limits. Okay, so since you are sort of building a grid with any of these, you just put these here, and you're planning out your strut system basically. And the cylinders on the end are really nice because they allow you to do right angles with these. And they're perfect little right angles, which is great for our purpose because we are going to make sort of what I made before. And I don't even need to really fill it out for you, but in fact I can leave one of them down if you want, but I'm just going to fill it out. Anyway, so you get the idea, and then you can just delete these. Oops, sorry. You get the idea, right? So, yeah, and you can have a nice structure, and these can go up, 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 and this is 1 unit width, wide, and long. So it's not 1 unit high, obviously, because there's only 3. So, anyway, and using that, you can build things like this. Things that are slightly off the grid plane vertically, as this one is halved here. And you can basically build a structure. It just follows the same rules. Sometimes you have, with the roofs, you have a little bit of a snapping issue, and you kind of have to delete a beam here or there. But anyway, that is the basic sort of unit for that. So the other thing I want to talk about is just building ladders outside. It is possible, and they work just fine. You just have to do it in the right order. Basically, if you build 3 cuboid rooms stacked, or I guess minimum of 2 cuboid rooms stacked, open a door on the bottom level, install a ladder. I'm just going to do 2 so I can show you. Let's put a door in there. And let's go in and put our ceiling in there, which is this flooring here. So we're going to go ahead and put the ceiling in. There we go. Nice. Otherwise it's going to be open. Oh, that's so much better on the noise. I love that. Sorry, my home planet is this horrific place with rain all the time. Alright, here we go. Here's a ladder. I'm going to turn it around so that we can actually see it here. There we go. Stick it in. Delete. 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 We have a 1-story ladder that works quite nicely. Now, if you position this ladder on the edge of your the grid. So the grid that starts with this unit here. This is kind of in the middle. Actually, I had to make this ladder first because usually ladders on the grid are in the center, as we saw there. So this would have been in the center, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be on the edge. So I did some sort of measurements using the I-beams, which you can do. It's kind of nice. And you can get it pretty close. I got the angle pretty close, and I got as close as I wanted it to. Okay, so next thing, let me know if you have any questions about this stuff in the comments, and I'll try to elaborate on anything I'm going too fast on. Or if you found this helpful, that would be great for me to know. Because I'm hoping at least like one person gets, oh my gosh, you can do that. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so for ramps. So ramps are completely independent. So if I bring this up here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a ramp in. Oh, sorry, put a door in. And then a ramp. And don't forget, by using the triangle, you can actually control between two different angles where the ramp's going. Right? So I'm going to do this ramp. We'll put it down. We don't even need to put it to the ground, which is amazing. So delete this, and I've got a freestanding ramp. So you can do a lot of stuff with this. I mean, you could do this. It just looks kind of weird, right? But the more important thing you can do with this is, let me get rid of this stuff here. Okay. The more important thing you can do with this here is you can make ramps that actually appear to connect to things they don't, because you've measured the distance out. So this ramp, for instance, should not be able to exist. This ramp is connected to this piece here, just like normal. However, it is not connected to this piece, but it uses itself just fine. There's no break in it or anything else. And I did that by just creating a placeholder object and then deleting it. So as you can see, it looks, and there's a little bit of clipping here, right? But it allows me to have a ramp that I usually wouldn't be able to connect. And you can imagine all of these could be connected like lattice, sort of like a, I don't know what the word is sort of escaping me, but you know, these things can be connected in many different ways, and they can be long and short and different, and either one of those two angles. As long as you take the time to actually measure them out with the I-beams, and get the right connection here, you know, get the right thing, it's going to work out fine. This is an example of one that really sort of comes close. I could have done a lot better on this, but I just was kind of in a little bit of a hurry. So anyway, you can do cool stuff with the ramps, and you don't have to obey ramp locking mechanisms, right? Yeah, so I think that is it. I tried to go through that kind of fast because I know you guys are all busy playing other games or whatever. Final Fantasy just came out, so I'm like playing my ass off on Final Fantasy right now. Just remember that you can use these struts that are, I think I got some over here, so yes, you can use these here. Alright, you can use these to make it look like you're supporting anything. I chose four entrance hallways for these to make it look like it's supporting my landing pad. But you could make anything down here that you wanted. I actually did to make it look like you're supporting it. I actually did a false support over here because it just bugged me that this room, this corner sort of hallway was sitting out there. So I measured this out and did a support right up against the model. Right there to make it look like it is. It's got nothing to do with that. It's obviously not supporting it at all. In actuality, none of these are actually supporting anything, but they just kind of make it look nice and make it look like there's some weight behind the object. Anyway, like I said, leave comments and have a great time building. And if you guys find anything, or if you know any videos that sort of further expand on these, or have other awesome, weird things that No Man's Sky uses that maybe are questionable or they didn't plan for, that the people are using to build awesome things, please link them in the comments or whatever. I love talking about this stuff. So have a great journey, everyone. Bye.